Luna sighed. She was bored. Her sister was clearly overreacting here. I mean, come on! What princess hasn't burned down a few buildings in their time? It was all in good fun. She just wanted them to be able to see her wonderfulest night. And besides, who really needs a roof anyways? Okay, so she may have used her magic to appear evil and monstrous, but that just adds to the act. And she wanted the moon to be up for just a bit longer. Let the ponies enjoy it for once. Just a few hours? Surely she'll see how pointless this is, and bring her back any day now. Any day. Maybe she should take a look around. She turned her head and saw a barren moon in all directions. She huffed and put her head in her hooves. She'd seen it all. Bored, bored, and bored. She bounced the tennis ball on the side of the crater again and again. She groaned in frustration and hit the ball so hard it bounced off the moon and into space. Great. Now that was gone too. She rolled over onto her back and cried out as she landed on her wings. Oh, come on! She pounded the surface and created a new crater. If she hadn't made enough of them already, surely her sister would see all the different impacts in the moon and see her frustration. There was a pop, and she turned around. There was a present with a little card attached. She opened it up. Dear sister, I hope you're thinking about what you've done. I do realize being on the moon for a year already might be a bit boring, so I sent some entertainment up. Enjoy, Celestia. She looked at the box and tore the wrapping paper off in a frenzy. Oh, how she had been so bored! And now, maybe, this might keep her occupied for a while. She let out a shriek of pleasure as the boxes of video games fell out. Her good, kind, loving sister sent up her collection. She practically started rolling in them before remembering self-control and wiping a tear from her eye. She pulled out her game consoles. Being a princess with a lot of money certainly had its benefits. She carefully used her magic to bring forth a wide TV and choked up. She promised she wouldn't do anything like this again. She missed her games too much. She set it down and plugged in the NES and pulled out her all-time favorite, Mario. She waited, but nothing happened. She got up and looked behind the TV to find a hanging wire with a plug at the end. Her eye twitched. She was building another pyramid out of her games before another pop appeared. She turned around and savaged the present without even looking at the card. If this didn't have equestrian power of some kind, then... Her eye twitched again, and she used her mouth to tear through ribbon. Inside, there was a new Xbox game. She glared accusingly at the card, which laid on one side, and lifted it with magic in reading. Dear sister, happy 2-year anniversary on the moon. Hopefully, you have seriously considered what you have done wrong, and are now reflecting on your actions. Here's another game you can play. I'm not sure what it is. I never really got into gaming anyways, but I know it's practically your life. Anyway, enjoy, Celestia. She twitched twice. Well, you see, Cult of Duty, when I was still in Equestria, I would play all day when the sun was up. I didn't really need sleep. Luna spoke wisely to the game propped up. She nodded and drank some tea her sister had sent her last year with her new friend. That's not true. But you see, it's not about relieving stress. It was rather fun to craft the sky each night. No, I just enjoyed playing games and beating up other ponies. She looked to the left of her before shaking her head. Oh no, Battlefield, don't even go there. She let out a short laugh. Her mane was starting to frazzle and her eyes were bloodshot. She twitched every so often and sat in a small circle of games her sister had sent her up every year. There were 12, a dozen lonely years. But she had friends now. Merifect understood her, and Uncharted 3, Daring Do's Deception, made her laugh, and she swore that Cult of Duty was attracted to her. She went cross-eyed and giggled a bit. La 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 la. She sang as she spun around in a circle in the crater. Her hair stuck out at odd angles, and a grin was plastered across her face. Her eyes spun wildly about, as she fell over for about the 6,736,000th time. Mike appeared next to her. "You know, Luna, you really should be more careful." Luna turned around and sat down and looked up at her friend and gave him the puppy dog eyes. He rolled his eyes and continued, "If any pony else saw you, they would think you were insane." If any pony else saw Luna, they would have seen her talking to a moon rock with a jagged smile carved into the stone. She pouted. "Come on, Mike, let's play astronauts again." At this, she pulled the carved out rock over her head and looked through the visor. Mike grinned and donned his own, and they began to play. If any pony else saw this, they would have seen a pony dancing around with a rock on her head and another in her arms. She played with her PS3 this time. It was so strange. The TV just started working randomly one day without power. And the games were so fun. They were exactly the thing she wanted to play, always. They seemed to follow her own trail of thought. She heard a pop from behind her and went over to take a look. She was grinning. A new game to play! Her grin spread wider and wider without her control. It was all so funny. She twitched and opened it slowly, reading the letter while doing so. "Dear sister, wow, 500 years. You're halfway through your sentence. Keep going. Here's a little something special to celebrate. It's a new console that was just released. Celestia." Luna pulled the lid off the box to reveal a Wii U. Luna began to giggle, but found that she couldn't stop. She cackled out loud, the sound echoing inside the crater, and bounced back, which made her laugh all the more. She ran out of breath, but she couldn't stop and fell over unconscious, laughing. Luna looked around through dead eyes. Was this the castle? Can't remember. Who was that in front of her? Just the sight caused the rage to boil inside of her. "Sister, I'm so glad you're back. The millennium is over, and you're home. I hope that your games help keep the boredom away." She smiled uncertainly. There she was, darling sister. The one who had left me 1,000 years with no one and nothing to play. Luna let out a shaky laugh. "Oh, of course! How could I forget my darling sister, who was so kind as to leave me on the moon with all my games with no power?" Steam hissed from her ears. Celestia stepped back, worriedly. What do you mean there was no power?" Luna gave a malicious grin. "You do realize my games run on the magic of Equestria. Without a socket to the heart of its magic, they were all worthless!" She screamed. Her voice was ragged with so many conversations with herself and her games. Celestia gulped. "I guess I forgot?" She chuckled weakly as Luna rose up in a mist of darkness and roared so loudly the glass shattered along the walls, and her laughter boomed out across all of Canterlot. The end.